Man, the defense type seemingly started off pretty strong in this generation. It's almost perfectly round. At release, it was decently weighted. It wasn't the heaviest, but it wasn't the lightest either, only for it to get thrown out by the window by every single future release, because who would use a blade this light? I mean, Hell's Scythe was used for a decent bit and was also instantly outclassed later on as well, but at least that still saw plenty of uses. And I guess the one real redeeming thing about this thing is the character that uses it, but this is a Beyblade review, not a character analysis. Anyways, looking at the blade, I'm a big fan of how it looks. It's simple yet effective sculpting on the blade, the motif is nice and clean, and overall it just looks really, really good. But as far as praise goes, this is where the praise kind of stops, especially since the blade is apparently really prone to breaking. At least at initial release, every single X-Bay was really prone to breaking really easy, but a lot of that has been remedied. But I think even past, the mold fixes, this thing is still just, gonna grenade itself eventually. And thankfully that hasn't happened to me yet with the initial V1 Takara version, and presumably the V2 Hasbro one. I'm hoping mine doesn't break. But, you couple the breakage issue along with the fact that this thing is super light, with the weight on mine coming in at about 32.4 grams. It's just a recipe for a bad time, even for defense enthusiasts who are determined to make a blade like this work. The ratchet stock with this is 380, and if you're gonna use a taller height, you're better off on 370, but generally 360 is also the safest option to go. And there are combos that can make use of 80 height, combos that like to be at say 70 height and you put it on low flat or low rush. But that's really about it, especially on a blade this light and more being prone to thrown around by heavier blades. I wouldn't recommend this. The bit with this is needle, and in the past I'm sure I've probably trashed on this thing, but there's been some discoveries in the community where there's some really funny combos that make use of needle and the possible sway you can get out of it thanks to its shape. You just have to be careful about which ratchet you pair it with, since a lot of Hasbro ratchets seem to be tighter with the bit grip compared to some Takara ones, but that might not always be the case as well. Full combo-wise, I think this looks really good. It's nice and simple, nothing super out of the ordinary, which isn't a bad thing by any means. A lot of early X stuff was really simple in nature, and none of the original 4 combos were anything super insane. It's just a shame that this was probably the worst of the 4 to buy, especially stock-wise. It just wasn't anything great. And even though, in my opinion, it is the worst of the original 4, it's still a good time for test battles at least.
for those who watched to the very end of the video. If you haven't, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my Instagram down below and all that other cool stuff. Also, if you feel inclined and haven't already done so, join the Discord link down below. It's a server full of Beyblade fans of any and all generations, and we'd love to bring more people back into the hobby, or fans who are just looking for a community to get involved with.